I'm just gonna make a quick video. I know that there's a lot of people out there that are having um, pretty spiritual dreams these days, and so I guess I had a couple of my own. I've been having a lot of crazy dreams that have influenced the way that I've lived my life in the past few months. But there are two specific ones that I feel like I'm meant to share, and the first one is I'm in a field, and on my right there's a cabin, and on my left in the distance there's like a rickety fence, and I'm kind of like I'm experiencing first person and third person at the same time, and I could tell that in the middle of this hole, or in the middle of the fence, there's like a hole, and a guy appears, and he's like, probably like earlier 20s, and it's like, if you're still naive, like, you'd think that this guy was like cool. And he's like, "Hey man, you gotta go down that hole," and I've succumbed to peer pressure tons of times in my life, so I'm like, "Yeah, sure, dude, why not?" But I go down the hole. It's like a ladder, and there's probably like 6 rungs on it. I look down, and I'm also looking at myself at a different perspective, and I can see that there's like a 20-foot drop, and I'm not getting back up. If I let go of the ladder, he's like, "Yeah, man, just drop. And I'm like, "Nope, you suck. Like, I'm not doing it. I'm gonna go check out the cabin." So when I go to the cabin, there's like a little old lady there. She's like, "Oh, we waited for you," and she hands me a plate of food, and the guys are sitting at the window. I'm like in a kitchen area, just about to eat, and he's kind of looking at me through it, and I don't know. I get upset with him. I'm like, "Dude, don't even look at me while I'm in here," and so and that's kind of like the end of that dream. But and then the second one is, I don't really expect anybody to believe this one, but I feel like I saw God himself, and he wasn't. If he showed me his form in the dream, then I just didn't remember it in the when I woke up. I just knew that I saw God. But what I remember is that it was like a gray. It's like I knew it was a man, but he was like just like kind of like a gray silhouette. It just wasn't too bright, and we're sitting next to like a giant pile of trash, and he's like, "All right, so you want to ask for some blessings? Like, I have to make a path for you in that pile of trash." And I was just like, "Yeah, sure." He's telling me like what you look for, what you want in your life, I have to make a path for it. And there's I think it's Proverbs 16:3 that says, "Commit to the Lord whatever your plans are, and He shall set your steps." And so we're going deeper and deeper into this trash, and he's like, we're talking about like what I want, and as we're going deeper into this pile, I noticed that like we're around people. There's people doing drugs. There's people fighting and this and that. And one of the things that I was thinking, I was like, wow, like God is so close to you guys, and you don't even realize it. And I think it was a psalm, and it's like like God is close to the brokenhearted. So yeah. So we're going deeper and deeper into the trash pile, and he says, and I'm just like, "Oh man, we're so far in here." And he's like, "Yeah, you asked for a lot, and I was like, "I don't know if I want to be here." And he's like, "Oh, so do you want to just follow me now?" Instead of kind of trying to dictate where he goes. And so there's kind of like a lot going into these two dreams. And I think the message overall is, we're all, right now it's an important time when we have to make a choice, between, above and below, And I told this dream to some family members of the first dream about the cabin and the hole in the ground, and he's like, "Man, that's scary," and that's the truth. It is scary to make that decision because we got you got one entity that wants to torture you forever, and there's another entity that could send you to that. But we got to look at it for what it is. We have one God. We have God. We have one God, and He is going to prepare a table for you in the presence of your enemies. Truly. And also, we have a God who's willing to work with us and what we want to do to an extent, and He's willing to follow our steps, but we have to be willing to follow Him on His narrow path. There's nothing wrong with being rich. I know it does say that it's easier for it's easier for a camel to walk through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to walk into the kingdom. But if you follow God's commandments as a rich man, you're fine. Because for that though He was rich, for your sake He became poor, so that by His poverty you may become rich. So we all have to make a choice, and you're not too far gone. If you don't have much, then you can still make that decision to follow God, but also that God is right next to you. I'm finally sober. I'm finally quit smoking, quit drinking. Even if I'm not the most articulate or smart guy, it's I just had to say this because if I didn't, and if I saw a guy right now and he told me, hey, I gave you some pretty specific instructions, hey, out of all the dreams you had, these are the two, So it's we have to follow God, trust God. If you're downtrodden, God's right next to you. If you're on the up and up, there's a right way to be rich. And all of us, period, have to make the choice. Follow Jesus Christ, Yeshua, the Almighty, the completion of the gospel. So it's so I think if I could sum up the gospel like this and who I've come to know God as, so it's we have Abraham. Abraham got asked to sacrifice his son, and it's the only other time that Jesus asked for a human sacrifice, right? So Abraham got asked to kill his son, and as the knife's coming down, God says, "Stop! I myself will pay the price." And then 2,000 years ago, Jesus was forsaken for the world. So we have a God who would forsake the world to save the son of one man, and we have a God that would forsake His son to save the world. And that's amazing right there, folks. So whether this video reaches 2 people or anything, just know that that you're important, and it's time, guys. It's real. Blessed love. Amen.